It is time for Wired Wednesday. McKinnon Hansen is with us. She is your local Farm Bureau Financial Services poobah.
Poobah, okay. All right, we'll go with it. Good morning, it's McKinnon Hansen. Welcome to Wired Wednesday. You know, today is one of those days that I love living in Cedar City. It is truly a blessing to get some moisture that we got overnight, and you wake up and there's a little bit of frost, you know, just because it's a little colder, but it's bringing on the spring season.
See, I didn't see any frost at all this morning.
My windows were a little frosted up, but you know,
I just had raindrops on mine, and it smelled so fresh.
It smells so good. I mean, we have the cheatgrass coming in, which is just one of my favorite smells, just because, you know, it's fresh soil, it's, you know, green grass coming in. But it's an incredible opportunity for us to reflect on, like, this area and what it means to be in springtime. Yeah. You know, we have blossoms almost, you know, we haven't lost them yet to a late frost, but it's incredible. And, you know, for me, I love to backyard garden. I am a backyard gardener through and through. As soon as I can start digging in the soil, I do, which brings on a whole nother list of chores for me to do. And luckily, we have Greg from the Cedar City Fire Department to kind of help us through and guide us through our spring cleanup trash. So when I go through my yard, I'm cleaning up leaves and twigs and dead flowers, and I, begrudgingly to my husband, I grow a lot of sunflowers in my backyard, which then turn into a lot of trash. A lot of hard trash and a lot of big sticks and, you know, anyways. But luckily we got those all cleaned up, and we even thatched our lawn this last weekend when it was so beautiful. And then to get the moisture in the ground is such a blessing. So Greg, walk us through kind of spring cleanup and why we even do spring cleanup, because, you know, we live in a very rural community still, don't we?
I'd say it's mixed, and it's leaning towards the opposite direction. We've got a lot of building going on, so there's a lot of consideration there for that area that's no longer farmland. So
well,
absolutely.
And it's changing ever so much, especially with the acreages, you know, in even the county lines that are being developed, that are, you know, that appear to be in the city limits, but they're not in city limits.
Correct. So there's a number of areas that are borderline. You mentioned the spring cleanup and how you start. So everything that you listed is allowed to be burned in the areas I'm going to discuss that are open for burning. So with exceptions of dimension lumber and things of that nature, it is open burn for that type of items that you limb your trees and sticks and things like that you just want to get rid of. So in Cedar City proper, we have the spring cleanup, which is an activity that we're allowed to take care of, which does in lieu of burning. And I'll go through that real quick. There's if you received notice in your water bill, you're in the Cedar City proper. So there's a schedule for the cleanup, which starts April 11th. Area 1 is everything west of I-15. That runs for the first week, April 11th through the 14th.
And we should say everything within Cedar City limits.
Right, like you have to be in Cedar City proper to receive this service.
How far west do we go as far as our Cedar?
According to the map,
there's an area just on, so Lamplight, it's still in Cedar City limits, for example.
Nope. That's too far west. Because this is Westview Drive.
Yeah, so
this is Lamplight.
I'm thinking Lamplight is a part of Cedar City.
But not across the street, not
to the north. But not across the street, right? So you've got pockets where Cedar has developed the areas, but there's also areas of pockets for the county. It looks
like Hidden Hills is a part of that area as well.
Correct.
And you can find the map on cedarcity.com. cedarcity.com. You can find the map to verify your area. It looks like some of Equestrian Point is, and a little bit across the street, but again, reference the map online.
Absolutely. And again, if you received this in your water bill, you're part of Cedar City proper.
And if you didn't and you're wondering where it is, then you're probably not. I'm
sorry. If
our
water bill's online, like you're just down the block, I guess.
Well, again, check the notice.
Yeah, check this. The document that I downloaded came directly off Cedar City's webpage.
Okay.
And it's under community updates.
Yep, and so the area 2 south of Center Street and east of I-15 is April 18th to the 21st, and area 3 north of Center Street and east of I-15 is April 25th to the 28th. Everything on here, the guidelines are specified when you should put your trash out. They don't want you to put it out too early, and there's notice here that if you put it out too late and they've already passed, they will not come and return to that area. So once it's done, it's complete. There are items on here that you cannot put out: tires, furniture, carpeting, appliances, electronics, and just regular garbage.
What about my brother-in-law?
If you could get him in there and take him through the system and get him out to they put this in the what they call a bullock pit, so it doesn't go out to the landfill.
Oh, where is that?
So the bullock pit is on the east side of London.
Oh, okay.
After you pass on 56, there, as you turn in there, you see the Cedar pit or the bullock pit. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's where the city takes the 10-wheelers and dumps and processes.
And it's yard garbage, guys.
Yes,
it's
yard
not,
waste.
again, not any construction materials, furniture, carpeting, regular garbage, appliances, or electronics. This is your twigs, leaves, grass clippings, rocks that you don't want to be in your yard anymore. Bricks would even fall into that, maybe.
Yeah, so it does say pallets, crates, asphalt, dirt, rocks, and concrete. And it's a limit to 1 10-wheeler. So if you take advantage and tear your house down and put it out, they might not take that whole thing. So
Right, agreed. So let's kind of talk about
let's
the
talk
Cedar
about
City.
the burn. Absolutely.
Yeah, like burn and where city meets county, where could meet Enoch City, county, and kind of where those corners happen, or the rules that are different between Cedar City proper, Iron County, and Enoch City.
Absolutely. So this is our first year to have an online process for Enoch City, and the folks that have been using it was working out quite well. We have a 1-day permit process for Enoch and a 3-day process for Iron County. So the Enoch City webpage, cityofenoch.org, there's a listing on there to apply for your burn permit, which happens March 15th through May 15th. And then ironcounty.net is the place to go for the application for Iron County. So if you have no access to a computer, there is a DAQ phone number to call, and I've got that here, and we're going to list all this information on the webpage for
Wired Wednesday
after today. So you'll see that. If you've got any questions, there's quite a few links that we have for this operation. So it rather than sit here and just
Ramble
read them off, and maybe have you miss a thing or two, we'll make sure we have them on the webpage so you can see it.
And I guess we do need to clarify, if you are in Cedar City proper limits, which is indicated on the trash waste, the yard trash map, it is not open burn. You
Correct.
cannot burn in your backyard.
Correct.
And that's why we do the cleanup.
Yes.
That's why
in
people,
place of burning.
Right, in place of burning, because structures, people, all these things are tighter together.
Correct.
The risk of it going, that you could almost be held liable for if it goes into somebody else's yard and damages, you could be fined. There's a whole gamut of things that the fire department can do because you burned in Cedar City limits without a proper permit, or it never gets approved in Cedar limits.
Okay, now let me. I'm confused because it sounds like you don't get burn permits in Cedar City. Can you get a burn permit?
That's correct. You do not get a burn permit in Cedar City.
So you cannot burn it within city limits.
In city limits,
In
you
city
cannot
limits.
burn.
That's right.
And I guess that's the kind of what I want to bring, like in today's show, we want to make sure that people understand where they're at, or if they don't know where they're at, to research it.
Research, absolutely.
And Greg's given out the couple of websites, the resources, and the maps, because we want to have a successful spring, cleanup process, whether you're in county, whether you're in Enoch, whether you're in Cedar City proper. We just want to have a safe cleanup period. Already this year in the state of Utah, there's been 2 incidences where people have been cleaning up to burn, and they've gone into other people's property in northern Utah. So we want a safe cleanup, here in Iron County.
So first and foremost is the conditions. So one of the requirements is the DAQ. You must have a sealing index or clearing index of 500 or greater. So a lot of times it's deceiving on a day like today. Our clearing index, I believe, is 1,000, but on a day like today, sometimes the sealing, and you can see it out in the valley right now. If you see somebody's chimney smoke, or if you look out and the asphalt plants are running, and the smoke is not rising and it's going horizontally, that's a good indication we do not have a good clearing index. So if you call in to burn, or if you go onto the web page, you may not be allowed to burn. It's for that reason. So I've got the phone number to call. Also, I'll just read that off. It's pretty straightforward. 801-536-4000. That's for anybody that does not have computer access, that lives in Enoch or Iron County, and that will allow you to speak with somebody that assist you in taking care of that process to apply for your permit.
Well, and there's, if you have questions, don't just go and do it to do it,
Correct.
One of the other firemen said a quote earlier today, and I can't think of it. Go ahead.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
And that goes in so many different directions,
Right.
especially with different cleanups and different areas. And the way that we've been growing, a lot of the radio shows, in the past we've talked about the growth, how people are just coming in and buying or building and what our building rates are and things. And those have changed the dynamics of how we can effectively clean up Cedar City and make sure that we're, a clean and, healthy community with that.
Absolutely.
Greg, what else do you have for us today?
So as far as the burning goes itself, I'll read off some of the highlights. There are restrictions, of course, that go along with it. First and foremost, I mentioned the sealing, the clearing index. In addition to that comes our wind. We right now we're blessed with some calm winds this morning. I don't see anything moving out there, but on a windy day, obviously that's not a good.
Yeah,
I don't want last. Yeah, you said it. And I've always heard that the reason why there's no wind today is because the wind's changing direction. That's a good way to put it for Cedar. So if you wait anytime, you'll see the wind pick up again. A lot of times that happens in the morning when people apply for the burn permit, and by the afternoon it's too windy to burn. So be very, very cognizant of the conditions that you're burning in.
And really quickly, just because you got a permit to burn, like let's say I applied for it yesterday to burn today,
Correct.
it doesn't negate the responsibility of making sure that the full condition is met.
Correct. And you need to call in on a daily basis when you burn. For that example, if you call in and we are expecting a wind occurrence today, red flag definitely shuts it down. But if we're experiencing that, we'll warn you, say now's a good time in the morning, but in the afternoon it'll be too windy to burn. So we'll mention that. So when you call in, you have to call in on a daily basis. Not only do you call in to the fire station, you call the fire dispatch as well, so they know and they've got a record of it. We have a log that comes in when these permits go online. We have a log sheet that tells us who's burning and where they're burning. So if we get a call in that says, hey, I think my neighbor's house is on fire, we'll go to that sheet, give us the address. No, there's a controlled burn in that area. Or no, in fact, hey, we've got a concern, we'll go out there and check. Sometimes it's the PD that will go out there if it's in the Cedar area, or the sheriff, and they'll notify us and say, yeah, we've got the controlled burn. Maybe the person hasn't called in. They'll get a friendly warning the first time. If they get
I'm guessing it won't be so friendly the second time.
The second time we may not be as friendly. We understand people don't always have the information, but that's why we're on the radio today, to get it out there, try to get everybody aware of this, especially in Enoch, because last year you called the station and then you were able to burn. Now you go online to receive your permit, and again, it's for just one day.
Now, I have a question, and this is a lack of knowledge on my part, and I openly admit it, although I feel sheepish about it. Does the county have its own firefighting facilities and personnel, or do you handle a lot of the county burning fire situations?
Awesome question, Tim. We handle everything in the county. We adjoin to the other neighboring departments for Parowan and things of that nature, Canaryville and South. So no, we do handle part of our funds come from Iron County Citizens, which I am one of, and we support that organization. And if you look on the side of our fire truck, it says Cedar City and Iron County.
Okay, so there's not a specifically separate
Correct.
Iron County Fire Department.
Correct. And I think, just a quick insurance plug, the ISO rating is different whether you're in Cedar City proper or whether you're in county or in Parowan or in Canaryville specifically, and even Burrell. I mean,
Burrell.
let's not forget Burrell.
Yeah.
Burrell, they all have their different ISO ratings.
Burrell or Burrell Junction?
Burrell proper,
Proper.
actually.
Burrell proper.
And Newcastle, they all have their own ISO ratings based on the fire station that reports to them that's,
How far
that's
you are from the
responsible.
fire station.
Right.
Very important.
So, I mean, and this all kind of ties back into whether or not you can burn, whether you should burn, right? But then you also need to look at what you're responsible for. If you are burning in your backyard with the permit that you've acquired, but you catch your neighbor's house on fire, you know, that's something that you're liable for.
You're not going to receive the friendly reminder on that one. You'll definitely be required to compensate for the cost of suppression in some cases there for that reason. Absolutely.
So, and one thing that we shouldn't forget.
So, no, I'm not letting you off the hook. So, Miss Insurance Person, does a person's homeowner's insurance, can it cover such an incident such as
Accidental.
that?
You have to be proven liable, and that's why you have high liability limits on your policies. Because if you only have a $200,000, $300,000 liability limit, that won't build half a house right now.
No, I understand that, but can a person's homeowner's insurance, can it cover something like that?
I'm not a claims adjuster, so I can't guarantee anything.
Okay.
I
So,
wouldn't count on it. Yes, don't take a chance.
yes, it's a very sticky situation. If you did it intentionally, arson is one of those
No, I
things.
understand that. I'm talking about a situation where something,
Yeah, and we've
Got out of
had
control.
circumstances where people started out burning safely in a barrel, for example, and it got out of hand. It went across the field and it started into a neighboring property. So in that case, if we get there quickly and people are notified quickly, we'll stop it from getting too far. But in some cases, as you've seen in Brian Head, it's a good example.
That's what I was gonna lead into.
Brian Head's a terrible example that burned for months and months.
we still have cups that say, don't be a lineman on them. That were given to
It
Alex.
really.
We can say that. I know you won't say it, Greg, but we can say that. So there it is.
No, and Brian has a really, a still very fresh mark on Iron County of, you know, it burned in the fall, July, it started July of 17. And, you know, I think President Trump claimed it a state of emergency or something.
Perhaps. Yeah,
I can't
remember all
the details, but I mean,
declarations that were made.
and how many acres burned because one person decided to burn in his backyard and it got out of control. It's an incredible example, and it's still at least fresh in my mind just because I'm very aware of, you know, all of those different things. So with, going on the website and making sure that you have a permit and then calling in, you know, every day, is there a checklist or anything that we can go through to, you know, see what is going on or what is available to the resources out there?
There's a checklist that we've got that is part of the burn permit. Is that what you're discussing?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So in taking care of this burn permit, at the very bottom, it's saying that you're signing to all these conditions. So you're taking responsibility. So a number of items I'll highlight. We talked about the clearing index, the conditions, obviously. That's a big one. Hazardous conditions, the high winds.
And I just realized the time. Sorry, Greg. It's
Yeah.
we only have a couple minutes left.
Okay.
So
I'll hit the highlights real quickly.
Okay.
So burning at a distance of 50 feet from a structure. A really important one is to have an adequate water supply or extinguishing method available for you. If you're out in an area that doesn't have it, be considerate of what's going on and what you're burning. The other thing is we're not trying to burn everything all at once. If you've got a 3-day permit, spread it out. Try to be considerate of your neighbors, obviously, in that condition. Some people just don't like the smoke, or some people's HVAC system will pull that smoke in. So if that happens, we might have to come out and shut the burning down if it becomes a nuisance.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us on Wired Wednesday today.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you guys coming on and making this part of your services and getting the information out there.
Great.
This has been McKenna Hansen with Wired Wednesday. You can find all these resources on my Facebook page at Wired Wednesday with McKenna Hansen. I am your local Farm Bureau financial agent. You can reach me for all your commercial insurance products. From commercial general liability to workers' comp, my phone number is 435-592-2021. Thanks for joining us for Wired Wednesday.
All right.
Thank you.
MJ. Great. Neat chat. And let's see.